Is no one's on the citizens communication, okay? The first thing on the agenda is our public meeting to discuss our 23-24 budget and proposed tax rate. Ms. Shannon.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start off with the tax rates. Right now, they're sitting at about, for your M&O rate, at 0.7636. This is for a new HB3. We are still planning on looking more into the TRE. We do know we can call the VA TRE with the bond election. There's a timeline that I'll show you in just a minute. If we did the compressed rate plus the TRE and our golden pennies, our M&O rate would be 0.9436. For the INS, we'll do 24 cents again, planning on a cash defeasance. The VA TRE, I was calling it a TRE, but the appropriate is VA TRE. And what we've learned so far, we've been in contact with Clay and Rose. The timeline is pretty quick. By July 7th, we'll have to have an efficiency audit. I reached out to Coleman Horton, and Dusty's looking into if they do that service or not. Usually it's your outside auditor that does that. By August 21st, it's the deadline to order the election. And we will adopt the budget tonight, but we'll do the tax rate in August.
Shannon.
Yes.
What is an efficiency audit? Do you know?
It's different from your regular audit, but a little bit the same. It's a little bit more in depth.
Okay.
I don't see how it can be more in depth. But it is.
Yeah. And I wondered if it has to be done by another auditing firm other than the one you normally use.
Rose said it's usually your outside auditor, but Dusty didn't reply right away. Yes, he said he was going to look into it.
Okay.
That was on Friday. Then once the audit is complete, it will be presented in an open meeting. And then for the fall of 2023, November 7th is the uniform election date. Remember, you're adopting 3 funds tonight. One of them's the Child Nutrition Fund. We did, in the last 2 years, use SSO, and we had some excess fund balance that we're still spending down. This year, we were back on NSLP, and we'll just make about $25,000 on that. We were hoping to break even, and so it's better than expected. We'll continue to do NSLP in 23-24. I know breakfast and lunch rates are something that interests y'all, but that won't quite be ready for a couple more months. So our initiatives for 199, the general fund, is to retain our staff, maintain our facilities, and maintain reliable transportation. In this budget, it includes staff raises. The teachers will get their step, and everybody else on the table will get 2% of the midpoint. All positions that were filled in 22-23 are in this budget that were filled using general funds. Changes in contract days, we just had 2 for the transportation supervisor and part-time mechanic. We were trying to go to 26, but we found out spring break and Christmas break they were in office because we never stopped traveling with our kiddos. And so we wanted to add 9 days to their calendar. And then, y'all, I saw on the board agenda that y'all will look at the high school stair wall project. And so I needed to throw that in this year's budget and next year's budget just to have it on the books. Items that we're planning on but not included in 199, the general fund budget. As we spoke of last time, approximately $700,000 of our salaries are moved to ESSER. We moved another couple of teachers into Title I. And then some other things that are also going on that are not in this budget, but we've already been approved. Not all of them have been approved, but the ESSER stipend, we're planning on distributing that August 10th, the first day of convocation. And then we've talked about these out of fund balance. You're not approving them tonight, but it is something that we're looking at is the Head Start building. Our piece will be $217,000, the track resurfacing, and 1 white bus. Also, we still have those grant funds that we were approved for buses, with 2 additional ones besides the 2 that we're approving in our budget tonight. So with that, we'll have local revenues of just over 6 million, state revenue of just under 13 million, federal revenues of 90,000 for a total general fund of $19,255,703. For child nutrition revenue, $1,045,000, and debt service, $1,708,047. Okay, for a summary, for the general fund, even after moving everything but then adding the wall back in, the general fund, what we're approving tonight is with a deficit of $566,468. We're hoping to break even with the child nutrition, and the debt service will have a revenue of $830,000 because of the cash defeasance. This is where you see it by function. You are adopting it by function, so when we go outside the function, we will ask for a budget amendment throughout the year. A couple of things, how I noted when we moved positions to different funds or to different functions. Also, we have a couple of GASBs we're still working on. Our Xerox machines is what that function 71 is. We lease those, and so they have to be accounted for a little bit different. Any questions on the budget by function? Okay, and then again, this is just by object. We have our salaries, over 15 million, contracted services, almost 2.5, supplies 1.2, miscellaneous at 64 is travel and fees, debt service 196,000, and capital expenditures of just over 278,000. Oh, that's hard to see, I'm sorry. But the point of the pie graph is to show that over 76% of our budget does go to payroll, and that's even after moving almost $1 million to federal funds this year. The cafeteria fund you're adopting is revenue of $1,045,000 with the same in expenditures to break even. And with debt service, with 24 cents, we're raised just over 1.7 million, with our bond payment at $877,573. And just a reminder of our current fund balance. And if we have any questions. We've had a lot of great discussion. Thank y'all for all the workshops that y'all did, and your input and feedback. It was much appreciated.
Good. Anybody have any questions for Shannon? Lots of hard work. Lots of hard work, Shannon. You know, it takes a lot. Okay, and does the public have any comments? This is a public hearing, so. Okay, then we need to look at adopting our 23-24 budget. I have a motion.
I move to adopt the 2023-24 proposed general fund budget, debt service budget, and cafeteria fund budget as presented.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion by Chris and a second by Henry to adopt the 2023-24 proposed general fund, debt service, and cafeteria budget. All in favor, raise your right hand. That passes 5-0. Okay. Next, we need to look at the final amended budget, which she has handed to us.
That's hot off the presses. It's
Right here, because it was hot off the press. She had just finished it when she came in.
a lot of it is just moving. We did move a salary from one function to another. It is adding the wall project. It is doing not only the Xerox leases, but we also have a subscription GASB that we had to account for, and the auditors helped with that entry. That's $115,000. With the capital assets, we did get just over $4,000 for a bus incident from insurance proceeds. And as far as the revenue at the top, it almost ended up being a pretty good wash. It wasn't too bad, even though our tax collections were down. The COVID-19 federal funds will help our state funding, and we got a little bit of back taxes from previous years that helped offset some of that. And actually on Mac and Sharps, we got a big reimbursement from that. That was almost double this year. And so that's a lot of work on Ms. Dykstra and Ms. Dubos's part.
Very good, very good. All of it helps.
In the Child Nutrition Fund, we did make a lot more on sales than anticipated. We anticipated only 100, and that hit over 200. So I'm thinking that's saying they are liking the new food management company.
Good.
And the debt service decrease is again offset with the decrease in tax collection.
Anybody have any questions about the budget amendments for the current year budget? Okay. I need a motion on that one too then.
Madam President, I move to adopt the 2022-2023 final amended budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Henry and a second by Chris to adopt the 22-23 final amended budget. All in favor, raise your right hand. That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, now we move to our administrative reports. The first is Dr. Grandjean.
All right. Under our board priority 1, increase student success, continued tradition of student achievement. Attended Summer Leadership Institute with board members on June 15th and the 16th in San Antonio. Got some great training there. Our campus administrators are still staying on top of the ball, implementing our safe and supportive schools teams. All of our current vacancies at Devine ISD are posted on our website and other statewide digital platforms. We're currently active in the process of addressing all these requirements for next year. As you may be aware, our band director position has been filled in May. We had several great candidates, and we chose one of the most well-known band directors in the county, or the state for that matter. So we were very lucky to acquire Mr. Bert Sanchez. Attended the May Lions Club meeting. Was not student of the month. We're not going to be doing that when we don't have any students at school. Also, we are still collaboratively working with Fire Chief Gonzalez Fire Chief and Tony Gonzalez to work through a funding project that would be a huge asset to our community and our region. We put together a kind of a land agreement situation where school would provide the land, the congressman's grant committee through some programs that they work with would be able to fund a training facility for us. So we'll find out in the next year how that's going to work out for us. Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Gardner filed the JET grant. We still don't have any response on that yet. No, sir. Don't know. But they say no news is good news. So campus administrators working through their campuses to find safety initiatives that are getting passed down from the legislature as those come out. So we're working through making sure that we're on top of things when it comes to all the new initiatives that the state has decided not to fund for us. So also, I know there's great interest in the driving range that we have. We've got a partnership with DYS. They are actually bringing their kiddos out, and we are testing out our golf ball picking up machine. So they come out there on Sundays and Thursdays, I believe. So that partnership's working very well. Hopefully we can partner with them in all of our facilities because they're bringing up our kiddos. So other than that, if anybody has any questions, that's all I have.
Do we need to discuss team building?
Do that now.
Yeah, just thoughts, ideas,
Oh, what kind of ideas do you guys have?
like when do you want to do it? You want to do the summer or fall?
That's when everybody has to be here. You know, for our team building, you want to wait till the fall to have it or try it during the summer?
Not this summer.
Not this summer.
We went to September last year.
I think we did. I think we waited till September, right? That'd probably be better.
Is
I
it
know.
1 day or 2 days?
It's
3
one
hours. 3
for,
hours.
for 3 hours, right?
We can do it in 1 day or 2 days. Just 1 day, an hour and a half each.
Yeah.
No.
One day.
One day.
I just
Usually
can't do
Thursday.
two, Wednesdays and Thursdays.
I think it was only for the new ones.
Yeah, we usually do the 3-hour session, get it over with in one time.
Well,
So let's wait till the fall, I think. Okay, anything else? Anything else you have?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Do I? You think there's something I need?
All right, next is the Assistant Superintendent's report and our Special Programs report and Student Services report. Anybody have any questions on any of those? I just thought it was kind of strange. I don't know if y'all noticed with Dawn's report where she lists the enrollment for every year. We've been at 1989, or they're close to it for several years. In 2016-17, we were 1989, and then we're back at 1989 again, you know, right where we were. But 17-18, we hit a high of 2006, but we didn't keep it, so I thought that was really kind of unique to see. On the Ms. Dykstra's report, I wanted to mention that I really appreciated that report on your speech intervention program. That was very interesting to see. I hope y'all have had time to read through it and look at it. She did a good job, and it just kind of shows when you give children a little help, they can come along pretty quickly and make some big strides in just a short period of time. So thank you for that. It's a good report. And then Shannon's reports. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so now we move to the consent agenda. That includes our minutes for several meetings that we've had recently, and then to approve our Region 20 commitments, which, let me look at it again. I got to go a long ways. I can't remember the amount, 120-something thousand, right? 123, that's stuck in my mind, but I couldn't get to it yet. Okay, so I would need a motion on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. I have a motion by Chris and a second by Carrie to approve the consent agenda with all these different items. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0. Okay. And then our action items, consider and take possible action to adopt the salary schedules and stipends for 23-24 school year. Have y'all looked at those? Do you have any questions for Shannon? Shannon, did you have anything you wanted to? We've looked at this quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, months.
We did change today. We had the sped counselor on pay grade 3 on the professional table. And we're going to change that to an LPC, a licensed professional counselor, to pay grade 4. That's in addition to moving the manager.
So that's one change that's not on here or was on here?
It's on there now, but it wasn't uploaded until 4:48.
Oh, okay, okay. It's on now, though.
It's there
Okay,
now.
okay.
It's my fault, not yours.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on these? Okay, And I need a motion to approve them, please.
Move to adopt the salary schedules and stipends for 2023-24 school year.
Second.
I have a motion by Chris and a second by Henry to adopt the salary schedules and stipends for 23-24. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Thank you, 5-0. Consider and take possible action to adopt the employee compensation package for 23-24. You also saw that in your packet. Pretty standard, not any changes. Okay. Anybody have any questions about it? Okay, then I need a motion.
Madam President, move to adopt employee compensation package for 23-24 school year as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Henry and a second by Carrie to adopt our employee compensation package for 23-24. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you. That's 5-0. Okay, consider and take possible action to approve the bid for the DHS stair replacement. Mr. Van Fossen. You saw all these bids that he brought to us. Yeah, there's a lot of money.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So in late March, I was contacted by the AP of the high school during dismissal. They noticed some bricks on that retaining wall next to the stairwell on the north side of the campus were loose. Upon further inspection, the whole top portion of that wall, you could lean on it and it would move about 6 inches. So instead of waiting for an accident, I opted to have a little emergency crew come in, demolish that. Then we found all the inadequate construction within that wall. I called Persine Engineering. They've done pretty much all the structural out here since this building was built. They came out, they looked at the front stairs, knew the wall was compromised. We started looking at the stairs. So that stairwell was built with what's called a central beam construction. There's one beam in the center of the stairwell that runs down under the landing. To the north side of the stairs, which is closest to the bus loop, you can see where it's fractured right at the central beam, and everything is dropped down on that side. So that crack carries from the mid landing up to about the 8th step, and then that crack continues to the outside. Upon further investigation, when we got to the back, we're having a similar failure there, retaining wall and stairwell. The back is actually a little bit worse than what the front is. We have exposed rebar underneath the landing. We have exposed rebar under the beam. I did go this afternoon. I was going to get pictures to hand out before this, and got 2 wasp strikes in the back. So I run home, took some Benadryl,
And that was it.
I'm barely awake, but I'm here. But I've looked at different ways that we could do it. Pan construction would be cheaper, but pan construction in our climate is only going to last, half of what these lasted. They're 52 years old.
That's what I was wondering.
Depending on what time they were finished, but they were probably finished early in the project, so it would put them closer to 53, 54 years old.
2 years ago.
So the retaining wall that goes around the landing, it has settled. The front has settled about 3 inches. Again, there's movement in that retaining wall. Same thing with the back. The back hasn't dropped as far. It's dropped about 2 inches. But that wall moves about 4 inches out away from the fill. So this is definitely not a want-to project. This is a need-to project. So like I said, I looked at different methods of construction, and we just wouldn't get the longevity out of going with concrete. The brick for the retaining wall was going to push it another 100,000. So we just opted to do a concrete retaining wall, and they're gonna rub it with the plaster to match the exterior plaster portions of the high school, which saves about 100,000.
Do you know what the time frame?
We're definitely gonna go into the school year, but the push is gonna be to finish the back stairwells first. And then they will do a temporary partition to where general public will still have access to the front, but they will be partitioned off in the construction area. And they know that they're gonna have to work around bus schedules, and I told them, plan on a long lunch break because there's hundreds of people that come and drop off lunches and pick up kids in that loop. So I know we're gonna go into the school year. I'm anticipating probably end of September completion.
Okay. That's not too bad.
And so-
395,000, there is a $50,000 contingency allowance in there. I had them put that in the contract documents in an attempt to not go over this number in case we found something hidden that we're not able to see until we do all the excavation and removal of the wall.
It's something we looked at, right? Basically, what if you turn the stairwell in the front, you turn them into windows, and you didn't have that exit? What kind of problems that causes us? It's not legal, right? We can't-
Yeah, you're gonna have
The egress,
your egress options.
because we looked at possibly if you don't have them.
If you don't have stairwell at all,
yeah.
And
right?
so that wasn't an option for us.
Especially because we don't really want them going in that way anyway, but,
Right. But for means of egress in the event of a fire
yeah,
or other catastrophe, that exit has to be
yeah.
there.
That's what we kind of figured, if we couldn't take it away,
Yeah.
if we needed an exit there.
It would make a nice torch show.
Yeah.
Is that the only way it has to be built the same way with it, like the L shape? It can't be just made.
I think it would raise the cost because of the way that the excavation and everything would have to take place. We got a pass from TDLR because at first we were thinking that we were going to have an ADA ramp. But we were able to show that we had an alternate path to get persons in wheelchairs into the building. So,
Oh,
because the ramp would have been about a half mile long,
yeah,
winding out through the front.
yeah. A long ways. Anybody have any more questions for him? And this is the 395 for, what's their name? Belco?
Yes, ma'am. Velcro
Okay.
Construction.
Okay. If you want to consider this, we need a motion.
I move
Go ahead.
to approve the bid from Belco Construction to serve as a contractor for the stair replacement at both locations at the Devine High School.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Chris and a second by Carrie to approve the bid for Belco. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, consider and take possible action on the board policy FDA local for admissions inter-district transfers to set tuition fee.
So we really don't have a concern other than bringing this back every year to have you guys and ladies address it if there are any changes that you would want to make. So June 15, 2020, if you remember, we adopted a policy to allow transfer students on a tuition basis. We set the transfer fee at $1,000 for the first student of a family and $250 for each additional member of the family. And by allowing transfer students, it helps increase our funding through higher enrollment numbers. So we wanted to bring this back and let you review whether or not you wanted to keep the number at the same, change it, leave it the same, whether or not that helps us bring in more students. One idea would be, set the transfer fee at $500 for the first family member and then $250 for each additional, either way.
How many transfers do we have now?
I don't have a number right now, it's around 70-ish.
Right.
Wow.
We have 70?
And sometimes that includes employees, kiddos
Yeah.
that bring, but not employee-related kiddos, it's probably in the 40s, I would say.
That's pretty good. I didn't know it got that
That
far.
affect, the thousand affected, this eating say that's too much.
Have you heard him say?
Any idea how many?
There's
I mean,
Pretty
handful.
common.
the way it's structured, I think if they want to be here,
Yeah.
they figure it out, for sure.
Pretty comparable to other districts.
I don't know. What do other districts do?
Some don't charge at all, and until I was involved here, the previous districts that I was at accepted transfers. They didn't charge, so I don't know.
If you don't charge, do you still get you don't have to just automatically take it? do you?
No.
You still have to like, go through a
Discipline.
checklist?
Attendance and grades.
Yeah. You still have to meet all the criteria to be able to be transferred in.
I did just find out, Shannon said that $17,000 in transfer tuition for this year is what we've generated. If an employee has a kiddo that they bring, they don't pay transfer fees. Forgot, I'm sorry if I didn't mention that.
Right.
One of the benefits of being
And
employed.
that's employees now, everybody, not just teachers, right?
That's,
Changed
we've
that, right?
accepted everybody,
Yeah.
yes.
Just want to make sure.
Because
it's clear, yeah.
it was,
Teachers only.
and
For a while.
I think hourly personnel, once they had been here 2 years,
Yeah.
Okay.
and it was, I think that, because that got to be kind of a rotational thing, but we're like, I mean, I need custodians just as bad as I need
Yeah.
teachers.
Yeah.
So if that gets you here, come on,
Good, I just want to be sure we're still doing that.
we need, not I need, sorry.
I'm going to leave it the same.
No, me too. If it's working, leave it alone.
Okay. Do we need to take any action if we're not going to change it?
No action.
So we'll just take no action on that, leave it as it is. Okay, consider and take possible action to adopt the 95% phonics materials. Mr. Wendell?
There's always a new adoption. One of the adoptions that we have to do as a district is to adopt a phonics curriculum. So we had Miss Beadle had been working with our elementary instructional specialists and teaching team, and so they've been looking at several different curriculums, and they've been rewriting the list several times. And looking at the curriculum, they ended up finding this one 95%. And what they found and all the research that they looked at, they felt like it went with what we're doing in our program for phonics or working toward, along with, it didn't totally rewrite the TEKS or what we're doing with our TEKS resource system and the expectations there for what we have our teachers doing. So it was a recommendation of that group that we go with 95%. But the other piece of it, and the reason that Ms. Beadle was working on it, is this 95% is not on the approved state list at this time, but it's one of those that, based on the information, they will be. There's a couple of things that they have to put in there, and so several phonics curriculum programs are working toward getting on the list. So they may end up covering K through 2, but they don't cover 3rd grade through 5th grade. But our team is pretty much very confident that this is the one that we need to go with, and so that's why they're bringing forth the recommendation. The other portion is it's $40,000 for this first year to get started with the program, and Ms. Beadle, using some of the ESSER funds, because this program's not on the list, would be able to do that for the first year. Then after that, and the assurance of the team feeling that it's going to end up being on the state list, then we would be able to go ahead and use the IMAT funds after that, so that way we could go ahead and take it out of the textbook a lot. And once it's on the list, yes, we would be able to do that. So,
And one of the reasons we're doing it now is, tell me if I'm talking correctly, is that it will be on the approved list, but that wouldn't be until like the first week of August.
Correct.
And we
They
don't want
do
the
it, yeah,
teachers to
until
have to
August,
go
September.
get their curriculum 2 days before they come back to
Yeah.
school. Not really
Yeah.
2 days, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That would
thank you
not
for
be
bringing
It'll
that
be
up.
the same fee recurring.
No, it will not be 40,000. That's the startup fee for it, with programs, training, all of those pieces, as Dr. Grangine thankfully brought up, but that was one of the pieces of it. There's training that the teachers would be able to get there at the first during our in-services and everything else, and that portion's in the $40,000 startup fee. Then after that, I believe it's 10 to 15,000 per year.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is required. And the other programs, yes, were actually, some of them were more expensive than even that.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Then, if you don't have any other questions, we need a motion.
Madam President, I move to approve adoption of 95% phonics materials as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Carrie and a second by Henry to approve the adoption of the 95 phonics materials. All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0, thank you. Now, the thing I know y'all have all been waiting for is our policy updates. That goes on for pages and pages, and Todd is going to try to make that as painless as possible.
So as you know, TASB, Texas Association of School Boards, monitors all of the Texas Education Code laws, and they put the legal policy contains all Texas Education Code, so we don't approve that, nor do we vote to adopt it. But our local policies are at the pleasure of the board to determine and decide. In your board packet, you had the local policy comparisons that were involved with CKE local, CFB local, CKEC local, CLB local, CRF local, CBA local, CVB local, DEA local, FD local, FFI local, and that's it. The copy that you have has the strike-throughs and the changes. I can go through and read them if anybody wants me to do that versus looking at them in your packet.
But mostly, like they're moving the school resource officer under another category.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
More responsibility on the superintendent, not the designee.
When,
Yes.
and we inquired to that, to where it's not that the superintendent has to do it themselves. They just said that whenever any type of policy lists a superintendent, that they assume that they're going to have a designee potentially, so they didn't need the words in there, I suppose. That's the,
And then if we have residential property that is being used for children, we have to have pest control. Is that
Yes.
what I understand?
yes.
You know? And the bid process was about the same. Some of it, they just changed a little wording here and there. Did y'all see anything specific that you had questions about? Most of it was pretty straightforward, yeah, just clarifications, change of words here and there, you know. Instead of saying you were being paid on a, what was it, a
Bi-monthly.
bi-monthly, they want it to say semi-monthly now.
So if they don't go through and change something, it doesn't make our subscription worthwhile.
Yeah, I
So
guess
they
that's
have
it.
to do something.
So if you don't have any questions, we'll make this simple, and we just need a motion to approve the policy updates. Anybody want to make that?
Move that the board add, revise, or delete local policies as offered by TASB Policy Service for consideration and according to the instruction sheet for TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 121.
Okay. A second, please. Somebody want a second? Oh, Ally, I'm sorry. You got to speak up, girl.
That's why we didn't say that.
Okay. I'm not going to read that again, but it just means that we're going to update our policies to be what TASB is recommending. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Passes 5-0. Okay. I think that takes care of our regular business, but we are going to go into closed session. Let me see what time it is. Okay. Beginning at 7, we will go into closed session beginning at 7:17. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act for the purpose of discussing items listed under Texas Government Code Section 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076. No final actions, decisions, or votes will be taken while the board is in executive session. Okay, thank you very much for your attendance. We don't expect you to stay.